Hello and welcome, everyone. I am Corey Andrew Powell, host of the Motivational Mondays podcast, here presented by the NSLS. And we are so excited to bring together another incredible guest panel, and this time to discuss how to best provide college students and young professionals with the career training and human intelligence skill building that will better prepare them for success. Now, while the AI conversation around the power of like how it can reform the world and maybe replace humans continues to be like a really big topic in many business segments as well as academia. We're going to talk about how it's really important to not forget about the human, the hands-on skills that AI just cannot emulate, at least not yet anyway. So, these human skills, these personal skills are still very valuable. And so we're going to talk about those today. I'm joined by two terrific guests, and both are experts in the fields of skill building and giving advice for employment success, mentorships, and creating career defining opportunities. We've got Anna Taylor. She's the executive director of the Greater Sum Foundation. And Tim Taylor is the co-founder and president of America Succeeds. And they're here to share with us their advice for gaining valuable experience and getting the skills to become a hireable employee in a crowded job market. Now, we're going to be answering a lot of your questions live as well. So submit those questions or comments. We welcome both questions or comments in the chat area, and we will answer as many as we can. Something special also we'll be doing today. We'll be choosing 5 winners from the audience's questions, and then we are going to give 4 of those winners are going to get a book that's been recommended by Tim called The Alchemist, and 1 winner will receive a one-on-one career advice mentoring session with Anna. So you can't say we don't really do things around here to help you get ahead in life. So those are going to be 5 great opportunities that we're going to be giving out today. Now, for your chance to win, submit those questions for Anna and Tim in the chat box, and be sure to include your full name and your chapter, and we're going to announce the winners at the end of the live stream. So, okay, got all that stuff out of the way. Now let's get on to some questions. Now, I'm going to start with Tim, actually. Now, Tim, your organization focuses on helping people build durable skills. Now, those skills are often called soft skills or human skills, but why don't you share with us, share with them what those skills actually are, please?
Sure. It's great to be here today. Thanks for having me. Our organization, America Succeeds, has done a lot of work on durable skills, a term that we coined to capture what most people refer to as soft skills, or some people call them 21st century skills. Some people refer to them as essential skills. But what we found, and what is important to us in the nomenclature or the name change, is that durable skills really capture what these skills are. They last a lifetime. They transfer from job to job, from industry to industry, every geography, regardless of your education attainment level. Those skills are required in all of those areas. We did a lot of original research on this. We worked with an organization called MC Burning Glass, and we looked at over 80 million job descriptions, and we ran a set of durable skills through those job descriptions. And what we found was 7 of the top 10 most in-demand skills across the country in all job sectors and industries are these durable skills. And in fact, they show up 5 times more often than technical skills. Technical skills get spread across different industries and sectors. So obviously, if you're in engineering or medicine or those other types of things, those technical skills are very important. But when you look across all sectors, these durable skills rise to the top. And just to set the stage, and what we talk about when we think about durable skills, we refer to durable skills as how you use what you know: critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and then how you also show up in the world. So it's your metacognition, it's your growth mindset, it's leadership skills. A lot of things where we don't get grades for when we're in school. We don't practice a lot of these as often as we should while we're in school, but they're the ones that are actually we often refer to them as the second rung on the career ladder. Without them, it is very, very difficult to create a family sustaining wage, a lifelong career where you have the growth and the opportunities that you want for career advancement. So,
yeah. No, those are very important. Those are absolutely very important points when it comes to just sustainability in a workplace for all of us. So, you have to have some actual durable Durable skills. And Anna, who I want to just make sure I clarify too that I did call you Anna in the beginning. It's Anna Taylor. So Anna, please share a little bit more on that as well. With these durable skills, they're not always taught in traditional education settings. So how do you think students can develop these skills outside of the classroom?
Right. So I think some of the ways that students develop these outside of the classroom, you already know people have told you should be volunteering, career shadowing, all these kind of things. But one thing I want to make sure your audience does is take a minute to pat yourself on the back because you have a lot of these skills. You've used them in settings that you might not have put together with your career plan yet, but when it comes to things like creativity, collaboration, curiosity, you have the building blocks for this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what I'm getting from that is that it's an organic process too. We're all looking for some sort of I guess, textbook answer to that. But you're saying it could be all your organic experiences that are tangible when it comes to you acquiring these skills. We have a question already, which I am so happy about, and I would just go right to it. I'm going to lean in and squint because I don't have my glasses with me. But David Shepard from Colorado Technical University asks, there are a lot of different ways to make a resume successful. What should someone focus on the most? Certifications or volunteering, college degrees, social networking? What is the hierarchy of those particular attributes? It's a really great question. Anna, I'll just stick with you. You want to give it a shot?
Yeah, for me, I mean, there's definitely a lot of variability across industry here, but across the board, one thing that I would suggest is, do some reading into the job descriptions, look at what are the non-negotiables and make sure that those things pop on your resume really quickly. You don't have to give them a lot of space, a lot of detail, but whether it's a person or an AI scanning your resume, they should be able to find those non-negotiables quickly. And then you have more room for flexibility about the things that kind of make you stand out.
Excellent. Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, I would completely agree. I think that one of the things that's really important is that almost everybody who's ever been hired for a job was hired for a combination of technical skills and their durable skills. Employers, as they ask for these types of skills, they're looking for and they value certain durable skills, maybe more in different industries or different roles. I'd pay a lot of attention to the job description for what you're applying for, but there's a lot of hints in there. The ones that we see over and over and over again, the most important, if there is such a thing, communications, leadership skills. I think growth mindset for employers is really important. So if there are things that you've done while you volunteered or while you've earned a certification or your degree or those other things, point out how those emphasize those durable skills. It's not just that you volunteered, it's that you volunteered and you practiced, you learned, you developed these types of durable skills. And I would layer those in thick with the types of things and the skills that you have beyond your certification or your degree.
Now, getting back to what you said, Tim, earlier, actually, regarding how there's, the high regard for these skills across different sectors, there's proof that this is what corporations are looking for. So I want to piggyback on that and ask you next, why are these human intelligence skills, like the emotional intelligence skills, the effective communication skills, why are they so highly valued by employers sort of over the technical?
Do you want me to start with that one?
Yes, please.
So I think we talked a little in your intro, you mentioned a little bit about AI, right? These are the things that AI can't do yet. When we did our research, when we looked at those 80 million job descriptions, we pulled out a lot of data from those. One of the most interesting things that we found in there were that high skill, high wage jobs and mid skill, mid wage jobs require more durable skills than low skill, low wage jobs. And it's actually completely proportionate to the higher skill, the higher wage jobs require more of these durable skills. I think over the course of your career and as you're working through whatever job you're in, the more often success is sort of linked to the number of times you say, I'll figure this out, like that you don't know something as it relates to it, but you're willing to figure those out. Really important skill to have, right? That problem solving, collaboration skills. Who do you go to find something out on your own? Employers love that type of mindset, and when you bring those skills to the workforce.
Excellent. Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I hear a lot of successful people, CEOs, they all say that one of their main common denominators is that they had an opportunity and they may not have known what to do, but they said yes, and then they figured it out when they got there. So it's important not to like defeat yourself before you even get an opportunity through fear. So I love that point. And I've got another question as well. We've got Donald Parker from the Houston Community College. He has a question for Tim. He asks, when did the change in the name from soft skills to durable skills start? And who was it championed by? I'm not sure if there's a textbook response for that, but what do you think, Tim?
Well, I can give a little bit of background on both of those. Soft skills was originated in the Army. And what they were trying to do was to differentiate between the technical skills that somebody had and the other skills that show up. Unfortunately, over time, soft skills sort of got a bad rap. And that's because so many employers believe they are anything but soft. These are really important skills that people bring to the workforce.
Yeah.
And so America Succeeds a few years ago did a report on durable skills. As far as I know, it's the first time that showed up. But again, we use that term. It's been in all kinds of news articles. You can search it on the internet. There's quite a bit of things that have now sort of switched to that term because, again, they capture the idea of the durability and the long-lasting nature of these skills. They don't change over time. You will practice these skills across a lifetime. One of the things that is important to note about these is you'll never get a badge or a credential for your communication skills because we anticipate that somebody who's in their 40s and 50s have better communication skills than somebody in their 20s and 30s. They have longer to practice these skills.
Yeah.
It's where you are in your journey as you have these durable skills that we refer to. I would also say don't get caught up in whatever the term is. Develop the skills and tout your skills at every opportunity and be clear about the skills that you have. Durable skills, soft skills, essential skills, whatever they are. They're the skills employers are looking for.
Yeah. I recall being really shocked when I heard those things termed soft skills because I understand the importance of communication. First of all, just to be able to even communicate, I'm like, that's not a soft skill. That's like a non-negotiable. So I don't know how that even happened, but I get it from the Army. You mentioned that's a military term. Now, one of our viewers is currently volunteering with the Virginia Department of Health. So Anna, what advice would you provide on getting the most out of a volunteer position such as this one?
That's a great question. And I love that you're thinking that way because oftentimes we start a volunteer role, we just do what we're told, and then we leave and we either think, well, that was really rewarding and I got a lot out of that, or like, I packed boxes for 3 months of my summer. Why? Right. And so my first advice would be to kind of use some of those soft skills and look at the big picture. How does your volunteer role contribute to the work of the health department, the department that you're volunteering within? Like, what does it mean? What is the context? And then how do you kind of connect that work to a bigger picture? Curiosity is a tricky skill to implement, especially if you're a new entry into a workplace, right? Because you can only be so curious before you're asking what some people would think of as too many questions, right? So a lot of it is observation and also, really kind of taking that interest and being willing to explore a little bit, take on different roles that might not feel comfortable, communicate about what your experience is like to your team, and not necessarily schedule, but work in some reflection points during that volunteer term of service so that, you can communicate with the person who's overseeing you. Like, how is this working for you? Is it working for them? What needs are you filling? Don't leave it until the end.
Yeah. And Anna, I think also I remember when we were having our conversation on Motivational Mondays, where you were a guest on that show, I think we talked about this. And also another thing was to make sure that if you're on an internship or volunteering, you tell people what skills you have already. They may not even realize that it can be applicable. You may be good with writing and they may need someone to do some communication work for them. Just make sure you whatever you're good at, if it's relevant, share that with your volunteering organization or whoever you're interning for. So that's a little bit I would just add from my own experience. Let's see, we've got more questions coming in. So we've got Nathan Lacerte, I believe is pronounced. Nathan Lacerte. We mentioned creativity is one of those durable skills, but for those of us who are not creatively inclined, is there a way that we would suggest in growing that skill? So Tim, I'll start with you on answering that one.
Yeah. So what I would encourage all of your viewers to do is think about durable skills as a strength finder. Find the things that you are strong at and lead with those strengths. So don't worry about what you're not as good at. So there will be jobs that are highly aligned with creativity, and you'll see creativity, maybe it's an advertising role or something along those lines. Lean into the ones that you're good at. So find the ones that you feel like you're stronger at, lead with those, and don't worry about these. Everybody has some combination of these durable skills, and nobody's strong at all of them. I'd encourage everybody to go to durableskills.org. It's the website that we created. We refer to it as a wheel that has the 10 main characteristics in the center of the wheel, and then 100 terms around the outside of that wheel. All of these are terms that we have found looking through these 80 million job descriptions. So look at those, pick the ones you're good at, lead with those, and then be prepared to say, if you say I'm good at collaboration, be prepared to answer a question in a job interview that says, when was the last time you collaborated and what did that look like? Talk about how you set norms in the collaboration, the roles you had, how you were handling conflict in that, like the specifics of those things. Don't just say I'm good at collaboration and not be prepared to back that up. But lead with your strengths.
Right. And be able to back it up. Be honest about those strengths. Anna, what do you think about that?
Well, so Tim is the expert on the strength finding part of things, and that actually aligns a lot with some of the positive psychology. I'm a big fan of looking at the character strengths on the VIA Institute website, right? And they say the same thing, like it is so much easier to build those top strengths and really, kind of thrive in those areas. But if you are looking to build on a weak strength, like you can find creative, you can find like maybe lower stakes ways of exploring creativity. If you've ever done one of those like painting classes where everyone in your class or your workplace or whatever gets together and paints a picture, that's like my personal nightmare in terms of creativity, where you're like, oh, that mine does not look like yours, and yours is better. And like none of us are hitting what the instructor is doing, right? And I think it's easier to tap into creativity if you're doing something that's really low stakes. So like gameplay, just open-ended decisions are creative, right? So like find some different ways of tapping into it that don't make you feel like there's a right way and a wrong way to be creative.
Yeah.
That's not healthy.
It also seems like the term creativity is almost elusive too, right? It's almost like subjective. Like, what does that actually mean? I mean, because for example, I can't do math to save my life, but to see someone do math is beautiful and creative to me, of how they can make numbers make sense. And that's creative, that's art. So I think it's all subjective as well. So I would just say to Nathan in that regard, just, maybe not get wrapped up in, I guess, the terminology. Just go and be and bring whatever you can do to the table. Another question here, Misty has shared that they have experience in many different areas, but not like people who have a career and have been there for years. So how do I get around that on a resume? And if I can just clarify what I think this is being asked, is that, there's some people who don't have like the linear trajectory when it comes to a career path, and that might not work on a resume, in some aspects, people may think. So how do you kind of like work in a non-linear way and still be productive if your resume is not necessarily reflective of what's considered standard? Oh, and Anna, I'll start with you since we left off with you there.
Thanks, Corey. I would say, first of all, when you're putting out a resume, I am assuming that you are looking at one kind of specific, if not one specific job, then one specific industry that your resume is kind of focused towards. And I'll go back to that, look at the job descriptions and think about kind of, you're telling a personal narrative. And you're telling it to someone who's looking for a certain kind of narrative. Yours might not match up exactly, but if the things that you've taken from different jobs are these durable skills that have crossover relevance to the industry you're getting into, then it becomes like an expression of your creativity and your curiosity that you're trying different things, and where that path has led you as to where you are now.
Right. I love that. And that's about framing the narrative, right? That's really like, not going in there like, well, I've been all over the place on my resume, but go in there and own that, right? I say, and say, I've done all these things. And because of that, I have this big myriad of skills. So, Tim, what would you offer in that same vein of the nonlinear career path?
Yeah, I thought Anna's answer was great. Also, for young people, as they're trying to get into the job market, right? This is that catch-22, is they want somebody with experience, but you can't get experience until you get hired somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a first or second job that you're going after, and it does not require a lot of experience, lean into that. Nobody expects you to have the years of experience that somebody in a more senior position would have. Again, I think most people are hiring for some combination of technical and durable skills. I would highlight those technical skills that you have from whatever pathway or from whatever credentials or experience or degree you have. And I would suggest for your listeners to also have a section on their resume that lists skills. And those are different skills besides just being able to use Excel or different tech skills or other things. I would lean heavily into these durable skills that you've demonstrated through internships or other experiences. And however you can validate those experience, those durable skills. If you have a durable skill that you got because you had an internship somewhere, demonstrate or put on your resume that that's how it's been validated and how you can look back to it and suggest, give sort of proof that you have those skills.
Mm-hmm. Excellent advice. And, on that note, I guess, about sort of like trying to get into an organization or how to shine once you're in on a volunteering basis or an internship, I'm also interested in the idea of mentorship, because that's a big thing for us at the NSLS. We really believe in that as a key component to helping people in their career trajectory. So Anna, with you, where do you say mentorship programs, what is the contribution to the development of tangible skills, when it comes to mentoring and mentorship programs for young students and entrepreneurs specifically?
Yeah, great question. And I actually was having a conversation with a friend who's a resume expert this morning about mentoring. Like, how do we represent this on a resume? It's not exact, like, we have this, I think, outdated vision of mentoring where there is one person who is volunteering and the other person is like the focus of volunteer work. Whereas really what this is a collaboration. And there should be a better way of saying, I've been mentored in this. I've been recognized. My potential has been recognized and cultivated in this way. Right. So I do think that, in terms of talking about the experience and kind of definitely there's no place on it for a resume that I've seen where I think we should be recognizing it more than we do.
Wow.
The other thing that I would say is kind of some self-awareness through that process, not just of like, I met with my mentor, I listened, I implemented, but like, looking at it from the outside a little bit, what kinds of things are we engaging about? And like, what is the overall meaning of that? How has it been largely helpful? These are some of the things that translate the experience into a more part of that durable life skill.
Right. Yeah. I think it's interesting too, when it comes to that, because you're right. There may be a whole like new category that doesn't exist that needs to be like its own like kind of ticket item
Right.
on resumes. And imagine if it was like a major CEO or someone from a major corporation. That's actually valuable to say XYZ mentored me and approves this message, so to speak, And so that could be really great for a job seeker. So I think that's a great idea. Tim, what do you think? Anything to add to that?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that the value of having a mentor can't be overstated, and it doesn't need to be incredibly formal. Find somebody that you work with that is in a more senior position and ask them to give you advice from time to time. Ask good questions about how they got to that spot. Just sort of lean into somebody who's got more experience than you do and get them in your corner. Most people really enjoy the opportunity to work with somebody who's coming up behind them in the world of work and to share what they know. Most people just love being asked, what do you think about? So it doesn't need to start formal. You don't have to walk up and ask somebody, would you be my mentor? Start by asking questions and find somebody who leans into that with you, and let that develop organically and naturally. And at some point when it's right, say, look, you've been a great mentor to me. Can we keep working together? Or sort of, let it evolve into that way. But can't recommend more highly. Go to a professor, go to somebody who's in the type of job that you're interested in or the industry that you're in, and just say, hey, would you mind if I asked you some questions? And I think you'll find success in that. And learn a lot.
Yeah, great points. Both wonderful points. And I love that, just to reiterate, yes, being asked to be a mentor, people get something from that. It's rewarding for them to share how they got to where they are. So yeah, please, everyone, that's a great point. Just remember, mentors kind of want to share. So that's always a good thing. Next question we have is from Caroline Kerr from Queens College. And Caroline asks, how do I move up the ranks at my job after 20 years of experience now that I'll have a degree in the field? That's very, very complex. Tim, want to take that one?
Yeah, I think I would point a little bit back to what we were just talking about with mentorship. I would encourage Caroline to find somebody in that company at whatever the job that they aspire to, and say, how did you get here? I'm working on developing my technical skills, my durable skills. I'm learning, and I have the desire to do what you do. Can you help me out in this? One of the things that's a huge advantage is that the person who's in that role that they aspire to likely knows a lot of other people in that role, their peers, their colleagues, maybe in a different organization or company. But that's how you sort of network and get to find opportunities and how somebody got into that spot. So that would be one way that I would suggest that you sort of rise through the ranks or take advantage of opportunities that are put in front of you. And I also believe when you're in your role and now you have the degree, keep volunteering for new things, putting yourself out there to say, I'll take that on. Be the yes person. If somebody says, can somebody take a look at, be the person who raises your hand every time. That goes a long way.
That's great. And that's another big attribute too here for us at the NSLS is we promote having the growth mindset, which means you're always constantly learning. You're never saying, I know everything. Even if you're in a top role of leadership, still saying there's more I can always learn. So that's a great bit of suggestion of an idea to do there. Tim, thank you. And Anna, what do you think about that?
This is a tougher one for me to answer. I feel like I want to know more details. Like when Carolyn says, or I want to move up the ranks, does that mean like within the same organization, or does that mean switching out? Because those are kind of different. Those are different answers, right? Like you would hope that people in your company either have a just straight up process within the HR department for signaling I am credentialed in a way I didn't used to be, or people are like informal enough to be like, congratulations, we are so proud of you. And we know what that means, right?
Yeah.
But if you're switching from one company to another and you're looking in other places, then, kind of reframing making sure you're retooling the resume and also putting some of those skills out there publicly, whether it's contributing on LinkedIn or, kind of getting out there in new ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anna, that makes me think of something too, really important. And I think it's more with women, but I think it's in general. And I've had some guests on the Motivational Mondays podcast who've shared that very often people who want to rise up the ranks are not vocal about it. So this is to your point. They're waiting to be recognized. And, there's a lot going on in businesses. You may not always just, for some reason, people might not be aware of what you've done. There's nothing wrong with going to whomever and saying, hey, I'm interested in that promotion I just heard about. Can you consider me? Because 9 times out of 10, people really aren't doing that. And I think I learned from some guests with women, there's a whole social structure where women are less likely to even do it. So I just want to just add to that, just, make sure people know what you want to do at a job, and you're your best advocate for that. So speak up is what I'm saying when you really want to go after something. So we have another question here from Tarini Berman from Penn State Brandywine asks, I struggle with networking because of how hard it can be to jump into professional conversations. How can I go about mastering networking? Tim, give that one a shot.
Yeah, I'll try. I'm going to infer from the question that the way she's asking about this is in social settings, right? Like thinking of networking when it happens at a cocktail party or a professional event. It can be tough, particularly the big difference between introverts and extroverts, somebody who will jump into a conversation and feel comfortable. Again, I would lean into strengths. So if you're more of an introvert and it's hard to jump into a conversation at a networking event, figure out who those folks are and follow up. Find them on LinkedIn. Say, we met briefly at this event. May I, you mentioned something that I found interesting. May I follow up with a couple of questions? I think there's a lot of ways to go about building your network, right? They're built one contact at a time where there is some type of connection. So even if that conversation ends up at a networking event, introduce yourself, say hello, may I follow up with you, or wait for the conversation to break up a little bit and say, hey, you mentioned something I thought was super interesting. Can I follow up on that point? But I think there's opportunities, at least the way that I read that, right? Look for networking in different ways. Networking is really just one at a time, building the folks who will be in your corner, who you can reach out to. And a big part of networking is how you might be able to help them. And that might be tough at the beginning of your career, but I think of networking as a two-way street.
Yeah, excellent. Great advice. Yeah. And I think you're right. I think this person is kind of saying that they're probably a little shy or maybe introverted. So it might be more difficult in a social setting. So that's really great sound advice. And Anna, what would you add to that advice?
Thinking of what you just said, Tim, about it being a two-way street, I would remember that, not everyone has all of these durable skills, including the people that you are trying to, reach out to and connect with, right? I was at a networking event a long time ago with my local chamber of commerce, and we had a guest speaker talking about networking, right? Purpose of our get together is networking. And the guy's like, hey, look to your right and your left. Do you know the people on either side of you? And my whole table was like, yeah, we're all friends. And he's like, you're not doing this right. Right. So a lot of times people go to a networking event and they're like, oh, buddy, old pal. And that's hard to break into. And they are kind of forgetting why they're there too. Right.
Yeah.
So, if that helps, kind of in the way, what is the old thing? Visualize your audience naked,
just in their underwear.
Your fellow networkers also human and maybe not doing this perfectly. Right.
Yeah.
So, don't feel too bad about breaking up those conversations in a friendly, curious way. But then also look for some events, opportunities to do networking in a safer space, maybe. So if it's an event on your college campus, if it's something around your major or your industry or your age or even an interest group, some of the work-related connections that I have made that have been most meaningful have been at events that were not work-related.
Yeah.
Because those conversations were a little more authentic and a little less forced. So if you have some of those practice networking activities on offer, that's a great space because everyone's a little more tuned into it. Like, this is why I'm here too, right? And then also, it's okay to like just do a little bit of exploration of professional life in those non-professional settings too.
Yeah, yeah. It's much better than just like kind of going up to people and go, so what do you do? Which is sort of rude sometimes. But you're right. If you have a special interest group and you're in a group of like-minded people, and then it comes up of what do you do? Perhaps there could be some dots to connect there. So that's great advice on both aspects. So thank you both for that information. Rosalind Ashworth asks, given that many employers use automated systems to filter candidates based on qualifications, how can your character and durable skills stand out during the hiring process? And I think, Anna, you mentioned, or I think it was Anna, you mentioned the software, or one of you mentioned, I think it was you, Anna, the software that sort of filters out the words. And that does eliminate a lot of people before they even get a chance because their resume has already been discarded. So how does someone overcome that very real part of the job seeking landscape today?
Yeah, I mean, remember that different organizations are using different levels of sophistication in these systems, right? So this works to your advantage, it works to your disadvantage. And I will also say, like, don't feel bad about being irritated about this. Like, it's not cool, it's not fair, it's often not equitable, right? So like, let's not just totally say, oh, it is what it is and we have to live with it, right? But within this realm of assuming that there's some level of automation, or like just maybe someone who's reading it with their actual eyes, but it's not their area of expertise. So they've been given a list of things to look for. That list is coming straight out of the job description. Yeah. So going back to, please don't ever send a resume, don't ever send a cover letter that is not targeted to the actual job you've sent it to, not generically, but double check it that it is actually answering the questions they're asking.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, great advice. Tim, what do you think about that?
Spot on. Customize every one of those cover letters. A bunch of generic cover letters and your resume going into jobs is not going to do it these days. I think one of the things to add to that too, besides your own, is mention something about the company. Go to their website before you apply. Find something about what they consider to be their superpower or niche or market position that gives them an advantage. Mention that in the opening paragraph of the letter, saying, I was attracted to this position for the following reasons. Here's what I can bring to the company, and list that in there. But I think customization is absolutely the key here. And if that doesn't catch them in the bots, right, it's a little bit of a numbers game, unfortunately, with those early jobs when you don't have the network and you're not hearing about a job from somebody who's a peer or have a warm intro.
Yeah. It's a great thing to point out. We're used to the history, the systemic history of looking for a job. We are writing cover letters because we assume a human's going to read them. And so we're like, I was a Girl Scout and I rescued a puppy when I was, you're pouring all these things into the cover letter. And now we have to really recalibrate our thinking today because that's no longer the case. 9 times out of 10, there is a robot who's reading that first. So I want to just, before we move on, I do want to ask, because you both mentioned the cover letter aspect. I read sometimes with different employment sites or resume sites and all that stuff that they talk about the cover letter being antiquated. Is that something that you both would say is a must today versus it being something that is maybe, generationally not relevant anymore? Would you both say yes to that? Tim, you first.
You might be asking somebody who's the generation that's already irrelevant. But I value a cover letter because I get to see writing skills. So for our company, we read all of the cover letters, and I would add, use software that is available to proofread your cover letters. A mistake in a cover letter is a kiss of death, and so get them right if you're going to use one. And I can't necessarily comment on how everybody feels about how companies feel about it, but certainly for our company, we're a small employer. Those cover letters are critically important for us to get a sense of who the candidate is.
Yeah. And Anna, what do you think? Are they relevant? Are they dinosaurs, relics? Are they necessary? What do you think?
I think it depends on the industry, and I think the company is going to tell you what they're looking, whether they say it or not. If you submit an application online, please don't worry about like, I wonder how I could get a cover letter to someone to go with that application that I submit on, right? Like they've told you they don't want it, they don't need it. But if you are asked to email a resume to, like submit resumes to info at whatever, right? They've opened a door. You're going to send an email. That email should not just be your resume with an empty email.
Right.
Like there's a space to do something. Now, you replicate the old-fashioned page-long cover letter in an email. No. But if communication is any part of the job, then they are looking at your communication skills when you connect with someone for the first time.
Yeah. Oh, and just to clarify too, because you made me just think of this. So we want to make sure we're clear. So we're not saying if you have that opportunity that you're going to like email a formal written cover letter with your resume. You're saying your email body becomes, in the modern landscape, your email body becomes the current modern version of a cover letter in the email, and then your resume attached. So Alan, I just want to make sure, right? Is that what you're saying?
That's my take on it. That's what I'm expecting when I hire.
Yeah, not to click two PDFs, one for the cover letter and one for the resume. Okay, super. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Your email is important, and emailing is a skill as well. People also don't realize that, and that's where another durable hard skill comes into play. So Nicole Brooks from Tim, please. Yes, I'm sorry.
I would follow instructions. If it says email a resume and cover letter, then I would email and have a resume and a cover letter. Some of that is just seeing if you follow instructions.
Yeah.
It can't, right? There's no, I don't think there's a universal answer to this, right? This is looking at the situation and how that plays out. But I would follow the instructions that you're given.
Yeah. Another wise clue, because I would have just clearly been not hired in that case. Because I just totally skipped over the instruction part. Nicole Brooks from Cal State Dominguez asks, let's see. Do you have any suggestions for those moving careers? For me, she's moving from nursing to computer science. So I guess, the idea would be, how do you sort of utilize the skills that you've acquired in one industry as you're trying to transition into another? And I feel like we kind of have tapped into this in some aspects, but Tim, why don't you give that a shot and just kind of help navigate that for Nicole?
Yeah, good question. And I think that right. So your bedside manner in nursing is not going to be particularly applicable in your computer science role. But there are things that that anybody takes with them from role to role. We talked about durable skills being called durable because they are necessary in any career, in every industry, in every role, geography and education attainment level. So I think that there are things that if you can draw from and highlight about what you learned and what you got good at in your skills in your nursing role. And then also, I assume there's probably some training or certification program or something else that goes along that you're going to highlight on the computer science side. But this is somebody who then I would assume has got a couple of years experience in the world of work. And so I would piggyback on that and not dismiss that you learned an awful lot by working in the world of nursing as you transition into the computer science world. So if you sit down and think about it a bit, I would assume, again, I would I highly encourage everybody to go to our durable skills wheel, because you'll see these terms. These are terms that are showing up in job descriptions. They're ones that employers are using. Give those back to the employers. Use those terms that they use. So find the matches and the links that go along with that.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect there's probably more similarities than differences.
Yeah. And Tim, just to clarify too on that, it's almost like you're just what you're saying too is like not to stress that in nursing, I help doctors do XYZ. And instead, just like I organized XYZ. I was disciplined in the area of organization for the hospital. Like kind of stress the skill itself, not necessarily being industry specific. So it looks more tangible across all industries, correct?
Absolutely. I would think collaborating with a group of nurses around patient care would be very similar to building a network with a bunch of other computer science colleagues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but super.
Those are really good skills. So I honed my collaboration skills that I am bringing with me into the world of computer science. Mm-hmm. and those other ones, leadership, right? I lead my shifts. Whatever those things are that make it very personal and that you think put your best foot forward. Again, lead with strengths.
Mm-hmm. And Anna, anything else to add for Nicole Brooks's question?
Yeah. So the thing that people might be wondering when somebody switches careers is why. Right. And that feels like a personal question, and maybe we don't ask it, right? But it's still there. And, in one of the earlier questions, we talked about the power of narrative, when you are changing careers, when you are, putting yourself into the job search world, you are telling the story of you. Mm-hmm. And, like what you bring to it, both as skills, as a person, and your history, all your worldview. And so when you are moving from nursing to computer science, like take a little bit of time to flesh out that narrative and say, these are the things I was thinking about. This is what I was interested in accomplishing. This is why computer science is where I focused that interest. And this is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So whether that necessarily is obvious in your resume or whether you end up answering that question exactly, it's how you're carrying yourself through that process. And it's going to translate to those skills, where you're looking for those jobs, and kind of how you show up in your industry.
Yeah, wonderful. Find the correlation points between, what you're doing and where you want to go. I love that advice. And I have one final question that I will pose to both of you. Now, we've shared a lot of great information here that I think there's so many things that we've covered. But if you had to give one bit of advice to young students and entrepreneurs who are looking to gain valuable experience, what would be that one skill that you say, in a competitive job market, you better have this one? Anna, I'll start with you.
The one I was just talking about is not a bad one as a place to focus. Like, why you? Why here? Having an answer to that question is going to show up in your resume, in your interview, in your posture, everything about it. If this is where you want to be, then kind of celebrate that and lean into it.
I love that. What is your why? We hear that a lot. What is your why? And Tim, what do you think about that? What's your last?
One? It's tough to pick one. I would certainly say having a growth mindset, going in somewhere and knowing that you are open to learning, that you are always ready for the next thing. Just because you haven't done something only means that you haven't done it yet. Be willing to put yourself out there. I'm a huge fan of a quote, extra credit for anybody who wants to look up a quote by Elizabeth Gilbert about the difference between curiosity and passion. I know a lot of young people, we ask young people to think about following their passion. Passion is a really tall order. I'm sure that everybody has a passion, particularly early in their career coming out of school. but being able to follow your curiosity and move forward. Do not wait for the perfect thing. Just keep moving forward and doors open. Put yourself out, and it is not, everything is unlikely to fall into your lap very early in your career. Keep moving forward and let the doors open. Have a growth mindset and let curiosity guide you. I think is a really compelling mindset for somebody as they're starting out.
I love that.
Yeah, that's great advice from both of you. Thank you so much. And obviously, you're here because you have such expertise in all these areas of advisement for career paths and helping young people, or helping people in general, figure it out when they're trying to get their careers in order. And so I just want to give you an opportunity both just to share a little bit more about the companies you work for and what you do. And so, Anna, I'll start with you. Just share a little bit about Greater Sum Foundation and how people can learn more about you guys.
Sure. Thanks for the chance, Corey. The Greater Sum Foundation is an operating foundation. We support early stage nonprofits, startups, so to speak, and we are helping people do capacity building and kind of build out the back office. Sometimes people have world-changing ideas that should be supported and nurtured and allowed to grow, and they don't always have the bandwidth and the support to do that. So Greater Sum does some programming, we do some funding, and we also match a lot of skills-based volunteers with our early stage nonprofits. So whether that's at an intern level or whether that's at a, like mentor advisor level, putting some more manpower and energy towards those good ideas. So we are always on the lookout for volunteers, and we are always on the lookout for nonprofit founders. We run a free 6-week virtual incubator program. We focus on finance and storytelling. And if you're wondering how those fit together, it's about telling the story of how your nonprofit works and how someone's investment is going to lead to impact. So that program is free. The application deadline for the next session is December 3rd, maybe, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always happy to talk to people about their nonprofits or their ideas for nonprofits.
Excellent. Thank you. And Tim, tell us about your role as president at America Succeeds.
Yeah, so America Succeeds is an organization. We're based in Denver, Colorado, and we work at the intersection of business and education. So we work with a lot of employers on the demand, the things that they're asking or would like to see from young people as they enter the workforce, skills, durable skills right at the center of that. And then we partner with education systems around the country at a state level, at a district level, to help ensure that students are getting the types of skills that they need to be successful in the world of work, to have economic mobility, to be able to contribute to their local community. And so this is right at the heart of the work we do. I want to thank and congratulate your audience. Really great questions. A lot of the work that we get to do, we don't get to hear directly from students. We're working with policymakers or employers or that. So this was really a great opportunity to interact directly with students, and I'm thrilled and appreciate the great questions.
Oh, wow. Well, we are so happy you both joined us today. It's been rewarding and informative for us as well. So thank you both so much for being a part of this important discussion. And we will talk to you again soon. Thank you. Now, we are going to announce our winners from all those great questions that came in today. I didn't have a drum roll audio ready, so I'm going to have to just jump right into it. And I will announce the 5 winners. Number 1, our first winner is David Shepard from Colorado Technical University, Caroline Kerr from Queens College, Nathan Lacerte from Western Governors University, Tarini Berman from Penn State Brandywine, and Nicole Brooks from Cal State Dominguez Hills. Congratulations to all our winners there, and our team will email you the address associated with your NSLS account, and or at the address associated with your NSLS account, so we can make sure that you get your prizes accordingly. And finally, A quick reminder before we wrap up. So 1 week from today, on November 9th, is your last chance to register for the November 11th Leadership Launchpad Virtual Summit. So we want you to join us for the opportunity to connect with hundreds of fellow members and learn from expert speakers and have a shot at winning a share of $10,000 in scholarships and other prizes. So just scan the QR code on the screen or head on over to nsls.org/summits to register now. And I wish you all good luck. See you there. Thanks. Bye-bye.